Why most people fail at success and don't even know it.
Most people will never become what they could have been. Not because they weren't smart enough, not because they weren't capable, but because they never knew they were the ones holding the pen. They never realized the script was theirs to write. So instead, they followed someone else's. From the day you were born, the world began whispering in your ear. Be realistic. Don't aim too high. Stay in line. Play it safe. And you listened, not because you were weak, but because no one told you the truth. That success doesn't come to those who deserve it. It comes to those who build themselves to hold it. Because success is not a reward, it's a responsibility. And most people fail because they never become the kind of person who can carry that weight. They think success is a destination, a dollar amount, a title, and applause. But success doesn't come when things go right. It comes when things go wrong and you don't break. It comes in the silence when the lights are off and no one is watching, and you still choose to rise anyway. Most people don't fail because they don't try. They fail because they don't finish. Because the moment success demands pain, sacrifice, clarity, and confrontation, they run. They go back to comfort, back to average, back to whatever numbs the fire in their chest. But let me tell you something, the winners know comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every empire was built in discomfort. Every legend was born in pressure. Every breakthrough began with someone staring down the abyss and choosing to keep walking. You think Lincoln became Lincoln because he won every time he lost elections. He buried his children. He suffered deeply, but he didn't stop. He refused to die before his dream did. You think Edison succeeded because he was the smartest? No. He tried 10,000 times and got it wrong. He was told he was a failure. He was told to quit. But every time he said, I have not failed, I've just found another way that won't work. That's the mindset. Most people think failure is the opposite of success. It's not. Failure is the staircase, and the only way to rise is to keep climbing. But here's the tragedy. Most people never even begin the climb. They wait, they plan, they talk. They prepare for perfect conditions in a world that's never perfect. They think one day they'll feel ready, but that day never comes. Because readiness doesn't come before action, it's born inside of it. Success demands clarity, but most people live in fog. They want more, but they can't define it. They want change, but they can't describe it. They say they want to win, but they never draw the map. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat down and defined your dream in ruthless detail? Not vague goals, not cliches, not wishes, but a vision so sharp it cuts through distraction. A reason so real it makes you cry. A picture so vivid it wakes you up at 4 a.m., not with fear, but with fire. Because without clarity, you will be pulled in 1,000 directions. And every distraction will feel like an emergency. And every opinion will feel like a command. And every failure will feel like the end. But when you know exactly where you're going, nothing can stop you. That's what the greats had. Carnegie didn't build steel, he built vision. Disney didn't draw cartoons, he drew worlds. Jobs didn't sell computers, he sold belief. They didn't follow trends, they created gravity, and people followed them because they saw something no one else dared to see. And then they did the one thing that separates the few who rise from the many who fall. They moved. They acted. They took imperfect steps. They bled. They stumbled. They adjusted. But they never stood still. Because success is a moving target. And to hit it, you have to move faster than your excuses. But here's where most people get stuck. They confuse movement with progress. They stay busy instead of being effective. They drown in tasks instead of mastering the few that matter. They get addicted to activity instead of becoming obsessed with results. Because it feels good to be in motion. But only aligned action creates impact. And alignment only comes when you build yourself on something deeper than noise. That's why belief is the next gate. You can have the best plan, the best coach, the best strategy in the world. But if you don't believe you're worthy of success, you will sabotage every opportunity. You'll delay, you'll deflect, you'll deny yourself the very things you crave. Because the world doesn't give you what you want. It reflects what you believe you deserve. Most people fail at success because deep down they don't believe they were ever meant for it. They still see themselves through the lens of their past. their childhood, their trauma, their mistakes. But the mirror is a liar if it doesn't reflect your potential. You don't have to be who you were. You don't have to be what they called you. You don't have to be the one who never made it out. Every day is a doorway and belief is the key. If you believe in your future more than your fears, you will walk through and you'll discover what most people never find. You were never chasing success. You were becoming the person success couldn't ignore. Because that's the truth no one tells you. Success doesn't chase the dreamers. It chases the disciplined, not the loudest, not the most talented, but the ones who show up long after the mood is gone, long after the applause fades, long after the world stops clapping and starts questioning. Discipline is the great separator. It's what wakes you up when the world is asleep. It's what puts you in the arena when you're bruised and doubting. It's what says, I don't need permission, I need progress. But most people fail at success because they wait to feel like it. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel confident. They wait for passion to magically appear in their morning coffee. And while they wait, someone else is already working. Someone else is already building. Someone else is already failing forward and learning faster than their fear. That's what discipline is, doing it anyway. Doing it when your body aches. Doing it when no one is watching. Doing it when the world calls you crazy because you know deep down you're finally waking up. The greats don't rely on discipline because they're robots. They rely on discipline because they're human and they know that emotion is a liar. You won't feel like it most days, but if you're building a legacy, you don't need to feel like it, you just need to act like it. The reason most people fail isn't because they didn't have goals. It's because their goals never made it past day 2. Their goals were crushed by old habits, drowned by old voices, buried under the weight of their former self. Because to truly win, you'll have to kill the version of you that was okay with losing, that version of you that snoozed when it should have soared, that version of you that broke promises to yourself every time it got hard, that version of you that said maybe later when the world was begging for right now. You want to know why most people never break through? It's not the strategy, it's not the system, it's the standard. They have low standards for themselves and high expectations of the world. They expect success to bend for them, while they refuse to stretch. But the ones who rise, the real ones, they raise the bar so high on themselves that failure feels like betrayal. They make discipline their identity. They make action their habit, and they move with a level of certainty that makes the world adjust to their presence. You see, people don't follow people who try. They follow people who embody. Not people who say, one day I will, but people who declare, this is who I am now. That's the shift. That's when the game changes. Because when identity locks in, action becomes automatic. You're no longer trying to be disciplined, you are disciplined. You're not trying to be successful, you're becoming success in motion. That's the moment when you stop chasing and start attracting. But it only comes after the dark seasons, after the hard choices, after you choose to keep walking without applause, without likes, without instant proof. Because real success doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in whispers, in quiet decisions that no one sees. When you say no to comfort, when you say yes to growth, when you keep going even when the reward is nowhere in sight. And that's where most people fail, in the unseen. They think success is about what happens in public, but it's always been about what you do in private. It's the reps no one counts, the pages no one reads, the tears no one witnesses, the moments where everything says stop, but something inside says not yet. So if you're tired, good. That means you're in it. If you're scared, good. That means you care. But don't you dare stop here. Because the version of you 5 years from now is begging you to keep going. They're richer not just in money, but in self-respect. They're calmer not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. They're standing on the mountain you're crawling toward and they're shouting back, it's worth it. Don't quit now. But you have to earn that view. With action, with clarity, with resilience, with belief that bends but doesn't break. You want success. Then understand this. Success doesn't visit the interested. It stays with the invested. And most people fail because they never go all in. They give 50% and expect 100% return. They dip their toes in a world that only rewards those who dive in head first. But you're not most people, or you wouldn't still be here. you wouldn't be hearing this. You wouldn't be standing at the edge of the version of yourself the world has yet to meet. And what's on the other side, we'll get to that. On the other side is the version of you that can't be broken. The one who doesn't fear rejection because they've already been told no 1,000 times and kept going anyway. The one who doesn't wait for perfect timing because they've learned that timing is something you create, not something you wait for. The one who doesn't fold under pressure because pressure became their personal trainer. That version of you is real, but you don't meet them by accident, you become them on purpose. And to get there, you have to walk through the hardest terrain a human being can ever face, the terrain of responsibility. Most people fail at success because they never take full ownership. They blame the market, they blame their parents, they blame their upbringing, their boss, the algorithm, the weather, the economy, the government, the traffic, anything but themselves. But let me tell you something with absolute clarity. The moment you take total ownership of your life is the moment everything changes. Because when it's your fault, it's also your power. If you created the problem, you can create the solution. If your decisions got you here, new decisions can take you anywhere. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's your freedom. Own your time, own your habits. Own your money, your mindset, your attention, your relationships, your environment, your response to adversity. Winners don't live in reaction, they live in creation. They don't wait to be told what to do, they architect the outcome. They don't run from the storm, they walk into it and bend it to their will. Lincoln didn't wait for permission. Carnegie didn't wait for investors. Edison didn't wait for approval. They owned it, all of it. And because they owned it, they changed the world. But they also had something else, something every unstoppable person has: gratitude. And no, not the Instagram kind, not the write 3 things in your journal and forget them by lunch kind. I'm talking about the kind of gratitude that anchors you in the middle of the storm, the kind that says, this pressure is preparing me, this pain is purifying me, this failure is forging me. Most people fail at success because they resent the process. They curse the journey. They want the crown without the climb. But you cannot carry the weight of success if you hate the weight that made you strong. Gratitude is the lens that turns obstacles into opportunities. It's how you find the seed of strength in every setback. It's how you keep your heart open when the world slams the door. It's how you keep showing up not bitter, but better. Because the more grateful you are, the more power you have. And not the loud kind of power, not the fake kind, but the unshakable kind, the kind that stands in silence while the world shouts because you already know who you are. That's what the greats walk with. That's what success rewards. And that's what you're building now, step by step, sacrifice by sacrifice, day by relentless day. But it won't be linear. It won't be easy. There will be detours, delays, disappointments, moments that try to break you, bend you, bury you. And that's why the final ingredient is everything. Adaptability. If discipline is your engine, adaptability is your steering wheel. Because the path will change, the market will shift, the plan will break, and you must be ready to reinvent again and again. Most people fail at success because they're addicted to certainty. But the only thing certain in life is that it will not go according to plan. And when it doesn't, the weak freeze. But the strong, they pivot, they reframe, they retool, they rise, they say, that door closed good. It means there's a better one I haven't built yet. That business failed perfect. I just learned how not to build the next one. That version of me couldn't survive here, time to become the one who can. Because success doesn't belong to the ones who never fall. It belongs to the ones who rise smarter. And that wisdom comes from one place only, a relentless commitment to being a lifelong learner. It's not what you know, it's how fast you learn what you don't. It's not how many times you fall, it's how willing you are to adapt and ascend. Success doesn't belong to the lucky. It doesn't belong to the chosen. It doesn't belong to the few. It belongs to the ones who refuse to quit evolving. You're not here to repeat the past. You're not here to stay the same. You're not here to follow someone else's faded blueprint. You're here to become a living example of what's possible. And the cost, everything you thought you had to be. So trade your doubt for discipline. Trade your comfort for clarity. Trade your excuses for execution. And trade your small life for the one that's been begging to be born. Because the real tragedy isn't dying. It's never living as the person you were meant to be. And if you've come this far, there's only one truth left. If you've made it here past the doubt, past the fear, past the lies the world told you, then there's no turning back. Because the old version of you is already burning. And from that fire, something unstoppable is rising. This isn't just about success anymore. It's about becoming unrecognizable to your former self. It's about waking up one day and realizing that the person you are now is someone you used to only dream of being. Not because you had more money, not because life got easier, but because you chose to do the impossible. You confronted your limits and refused to accept them as truth. That's why most people fail, because they never meet that version of themselves. They never break through the wall. They never go deep enough to see that the treasure they were searching for was buried beneath their own excuses. But you're not most people. You've felt the pull. You've tasted the truth. You've seen the cracks in the cage, and now you can't unsee them. You were not born to live small. You were not born to bow to fear, to routine, to mediocrity. You were born to build, to rise, to shine in the kind of way that makes the world take a step back and say, "Who is that?" And the answer will be simple. That's the one who refused to quit. That's the one who chose to evolve. That's the one who did the work, kept the faith, paid the price, and earned the life. Because success doesn't fall from the sky. It's not a gift. It's not a lucky break. It's not for the chosen few. It's for the ones who burn the bridge back to average and never look over their shoulder. It's for the ones who stop asking, "Will this be hard?" and start declaring, "Let it come. I was made for this." Success belongs to the ones who answer their calling with conviction. And if you're still breathing, if you're still standing, if you're still hungry, it's not too late to become legendary. No matter where you are, no matter what they told you, no matter what you've lost, no matter how many times you've been knocked down, this is your line in the sand. This is your turning point. This is your moment to rise. And when the world asks you what changed, tell them the truth. You finally understood why most people fail at success, and you made the decision to never be one of them. You chose to build the mindset. You chose to live the mission. You chose to pay the price. You chose to own the outcome. You chose to become the storm. And from this moment forward, you are not chasing success. You are success. Now go prove it.